The main reason I wanted to talk about Babes in Arms today is because I can't make up my mind about how I feel about it. On the one hand, I really enjoyed watching it, but upon reflection, I feel like it was really quite unmemorable. Now, this is a well-loved film. It has 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a really respectable rating for IMDb. It was released in 1939, which, as a year, was probably one of the last decent budgeted films for a good number of years. Directed by Busby Berkeley, with a screenplay by Jack McGowan and Kay Van Riper. Obviously, the main selling point with this film for today's audiences is the fact that it's a Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland combination. They did several films together. I've seen quite a few of them, but I don't think I've seen all of them. And this one is not my favourite of them all, but it is good, and I just can't make up my mind about whether I think it's a really good film or not actually that good on execution. So I'm very keen to hear your views. This will be a spoiler-free review though, so if you haven't seen the film yet, you are free to do so. Would I recommend it? Absolutely, I would. I'd recommend if you're interested in kind of the history of film, I'd definitely recommend any older film to see how they did things differently. But granted, this wouldn't be my first choice. So the description from IMDb is as follows. A group of vaudevillians struggling to compete with talkies hits the road hoping for a comeback. Frustrated to be left behind, all of their kids put on a show themselves to raise money for the families and to prove they've got talent too. Sounds great. And for the most part, it is really enjoyable. Because this is a musical, there's a lot of music, and it's, there's a lot of dancing, it's very in your face, it's very full on, there's always something going on. And to be honest, the characters, Mickey, played by Mickey Rooney, is, I think he's really likeable. I always find that Mickey Rooney characters do tend to be really, really likeable. There's just something about him, especially when he was younger, he had such a charm to him. And, Judy Garland plays a character called Patsy, and I don't really have any strong opinions either way about her, and I think maybe if I did, I may be more decided on how I feel about this film. But I think, again, her character is well acted. They were all well acted. There was nobody who I thought wasn't really a decent enough triple threat to be in this film. I thought it worked very well in terms of I can say the stage direction. There is stage direction, but in terms of the mise en scène, the narrative development was very good. I think for the maybe beginning it was a little bit slow when they were setting it up. But kind of once it got in full swing, it was swinging. It was great. It was, the pacing was very enjoyable. It's an hour and a half, 94 minutes according to IMDb. So it's not the world's longest film, but for the time, it's a pretty decent length. The ending, I won't say what happens, but I thought was fine. I don't have any issues with the ending. The thing I think that let me down is the music. So the narrative is actually really enjoyable. As I said, I do like it. I think the progression was fine. But the execution of the narrative alongside the music is kind of what lets it down, because I feel like it has for a musical, quite an unmemorable soundtrack. And I like to have a memorable musical soundtrack. I want to be singing the songs months later. I watched Calamity Jane for the first time and I'm still singing it 9 months later. I like it to be an infectious score. Babes in Arms just doesn't deliver that for me. So I think that's kind of, talking it through now, is where it let me down. I can see that it was nominated for 2 Oscars. Best Actor in a Leading Role, Mickey Rooney. Best Music Scoring. I disagree with that entirely, but then I also don't know what it was up against. But, if you're interested in musicals, I'd say definitely give it a watch. There are other Rooney and Garland combos which I think are better, and I will talk about those in other videos. But it is a good film. It's a good film. I think maybe my hopes were too high. I think that's where I was going wrong. I thought this was going to be a fantastic 30s musical with a brilliant soundtrack and fantastic dance numbers. But really, it's just a decent narrative with not the greatest soundtrack. But do let me know what you think of it. If you like it, fantastic. It seems to be a popular film. I guess it's just... I guess Babes in Arms is just not what I was hoping for.